3D live service anime action gacha games have some unique problems. This is because 3D gachas as we know them are a relatively new concept. A lot of the big names in this genre are still ongoing and therefore still in uncharted territory, because who knows how long these things will go on for. And what even happens if, one of the big ones goes to end of service? Will that day ever even come? What happens when the stories in these games finish? Or will they just get written perpetually as long as money is being generated? What happens to the old characters? Do they get shown some love, or are they simply forgotten and left in the dust? A lot of these questions have yet to be answered, but today let's focus on one that's being answered as we speak. What happens when a live service game lives through technological and artistic advancements? Should a live game improve its graphics when it gets the opportunity? The answer in your eyes might be obvious, but when it comes to the companies, there's actually a lot to consider. You see, in these types of games, power creep is inevitable, but design creep is actually murky waters. Different games have different answers to this problem because of differing philosophies. For example, let's look at the game Punishing Grey Raven and what they decided to do with this design question. This game has been around since 2019 non-globally, so it was released even before Genshin Impact, and it's safe to say that it has existed through different eras. A lot has changed since 2019. Kuro Games was a relatively small studio back then, and the modern concept of 3D anime gacha was only beginning to take form. The game also looks a lot different now. Fast forward to today and you can see their modern 3D character models right alongside their very first models in-game. And the difference is quite striking. Let's take Kamui for example, whose first playable frame was released in 2020. This is what he looked like back then, and this is what he looks like now. The 2020 model is actually pretty decent, taking into account their resources at the time. And topology wise, it was always solid. In my opinion, a lot of the improvements are art related. The poly count was also kept extremely low. That being said, it's safe to say that the new model is in a completely different realm. It's basically AAA 3D anime if AAA was still a compliment. But let's break down what exactly makes the new Kamui great. Now, PGR's art direction has been slowly improving over the past couple of years, but I think they popped off in 2026 with a noticeable jump. And I think this is their first male character done in this level of their modeling. You've come a long way, Kamui. Let's take a look at all these improvements as well as some standout features of his model. His new construct is much more mechanical than the old one, using a lot more mechanical joints and parts rather than synthetic flesh. One standout feature is his glowing central nervous system, including his spine and wired nerves throughout his torso and spread even to his arms. This looks simply stunning as the emission peeks out from the external pieces of plating and vertebrae. And a neat thing about them is the illusion of spherical depth when in fact they're all just flat planes. Another feature they emphasize is this core heart thingy that's under his chest cuirass. Another nice little touch. One thing you might be fooled by on their models are the drawn lines that kind of look like they're just sharpied on, until you see that when the normal maps kick in, these do add a nice little outline, and their normal maps carry a lot of information. Like look what it's doing to these armbands, which by the way, smaller detail, but I like the diagonal banding they got going on here. They could have just put it flush with the, forearm topology and made the bands like straight along with the forearm loops, but instead they decided to do this cross pattern and still made the mesh completely airtight because, why not? They're also using the clever iris emission trick that we've mentioned before, where on the texture you set the non-emissive parts to a very low alpha. That way you can double it as the emission map for the brighter lower part of the eye. His old hair was relatively flat, and while he's keeping the short cut, it looks like he's added some volume with a little hair product and a lot of tedious hair modeling. I do believe short hairstyles like this are more difficult than some long neat ones because of the sheer amount of small strands and the placement and spacing of them all, along with the effort to variate every single one. Then you have his face. 3D anime games are known for sharp mesh density changes, and Kamui's has one of the craziest ones I've ever seen. Why do the clothes and body have such low density while the faces are meticulously dense? Well, nowadays, games tend to go closer and get more extravagant with the close-up animations, so that extra detail and refinement is definitely needed under that closer scrutiny. Specifically, you'll notice that the density is further doubled along features such as the eyebrows and the eye socket. as well as the nose and lips. For the eye socket, density was actually doubled twice. And that begs the question, is it really necessary for these seemingly small scale things to have that much detail? The correct answer is yes. This guy's model actually has one of the most dense eye sockets that I've seen in any of these types of models. But I do think they made the right decision. His close-up looks good AF, and that's definitely due to, in part, the increased topology. And if you've ever tried to 3D model in this style, you'll probably realize that if you just follow the usual face density, it's not gonna cut it for the precise and smooth curves needed for things like the eye sockets and side profile contours. You'll end up with this jagged look that is fine if you're never gonna close up onto the face, but in PGR's case, they do close-ups, and it is an important aspect of their animations. Performance-wise, the overhead increase of less than 100 verts is not a huge hit anyway. It's not gonna be the straw that breaks the old mobile phone's back. Optimization will always be a part of the equation, but at the end of the day, 3D models are art. And art is not always about efficiency and optimization. Imagine telling a professional painter to use less brush strokes in order to be more efficient with paint. Now, somewhere out there, a 3D professor is throwing a fit about how these triangles will mess with deformation. This is something I get asked about a lot, and one of the biggest and most overstated 3D myths today. Always use quads, never use triangles. Triangles are evil. Square good, triangle bad. Now, this is a topic I could make a whole video on, but let's just leave it at this. First of all, every quad is essentially just two triangles. It's all triangles. Anyways, take a look at when Kamui blinks. Even with this extreme looking topology with a lot of triangles, everything moves just fine. Especially in the 3D anime style, this does not matter much if at all. See, the density doubling pattern preserves lines and uniform square spacing. This is very easy to do, and you just do it after a certain point where all of the base topology is finished, and you're just choosing which areas to add finer detail and smoother curves to. Then almost always, face deforms in 3D anime games use shape keys. Unlike conventional rigging, it's very easy with shape keys to control face deforms down to the exact vertex and placement. Having pre-engine triangulation does not make this any more difficult, if at all. And as you can see, it doesn't destroy the deformations, but it actually makes this curve possible, for example, on this blinking shape key. This would definitely not look as smooth if not for those extra vertices. One aspect where triangle usage and placement may matter is with normals, but face shadows in PGR and in the entire genre in general don't rely on normals for face lighting, preferring SDF maps for precise control. Anyways, that's enough of that technical topology stuff. Let's move on to animations. PGR's animations have always been a strength, but once again, they're on a different level today. The arcs and easing are simply better tuned so that you can really feel the weight of his greatsword swinging around. And the VFX is generously layered instead of the simple slashes that you saw back in the day with one or two elements. And like we mentioned, the close-up visuals and camera work eclipse the old ones. For example, in this angle you can see every aspect working together and highlighting the strengths of Kamui's model. The intricate hair modeling, the expression enhanced by increased face topology budget, the mechanical details on full display, and one thing I especially appreciated was the teeth modeling. Yeah, the teeth. I like the fact that it's not just a simple rectangular prism that's bent into the shape of teeth. There's that subtle silhouette suggestion that's showing the shape of the individual teeth.
In the end, it was driven back by my heroic aura.
One detail I like about Kamui is that unlike the cookie cutter, edgy and mysterious male protagonist archetype that we see a lot of nowadays, he's more on the goofy side. He doesn't take himself too seriously and reminds me of a more classic, cheerful, wholesome protagonist.
I thought this desert would be the end of me, but I found it.
Task debriefing does not require such dramatic reenactment of your experiences. And please get off the table.
Copy that.
Got him!
All right, Kamui, get to the point.
It's a nice refreshing step back from the whole over-the-top nonchalantness. Like, come on. It wouldn't hurt you to break out a smile every now and then like our boy Kamui, you know? And speaking of the classics, seeing his coding brought me back to Final Fantasy VII. The dark blue and silver colorway with the shoulder pads, boy looks like he's about to give a pounding to some Shinra executives.
Alright.
Alright, settle down.
With all these new PGR models looks maxing, I wonder what the devs' plans are moving forward. The contrast between their old and new models are the biggest that I know that, exist in the same game. And although I 100% believe their new modeling style is one of, if not the best in the space right now, this does have trade-offs. One is obviously that they pushed up the min requirements to run the game, and the other is the visible gap you'll see from their older models and even perhaps other graphical elements in the game, such as the UI, which are dated compared to the absolutely cracked new models. And for those that value consistency throughout a game's art style, that does matter. It does depend on the person though. Some people will look at the scene and not even care or realize that Kamui's new model is much more advanced than his boys at the table. Genshin Impact, on the other hand, has almost the opposite philosophy. New model features and directions are rare, because they focus on keeping internal consistency. So while they've essentially prevented themselves from making big leaps like PGR, they do have the advantages of not having to update their pipeline, and they keep the game's art style consistent across the years. And again, the whole concept of graphical improvement within these live service games is something that's ongoing. And we'll have to see how it continues to develop and what games will choose to do as they age. As for PGR, I'm wondering if they'll do this for all of their older cast, and maybe even revamp old frames instead of just introducing new ones. But, only time can tell. But I think there is something special about how they went back and showed love to their old game when their new level of modeling could just as easily be used in a sequel or a new Kuro Games game. At the end of the day, we're witnessing something a little more than just a graphical upgrade. It's a live service game that's evolving across eras and into places not yet explored. What would you do if you were in charge of your live service game's graphical improvement? And as always, more 3D modeling content on my channel and more on the way. I'll see you in the next video, and I hope you have yourselves a good night.
It's all done. Now I've got the rest of the day to spend with you guys.